if I get this. Good afternoon. I'm Marty Martin with Liquide. I'm the Director of Process Control Technology. Over the last couple years, I've talked about our program, and what I'd like to address here is, are we getting smarter, more innovative operations from our digital transformation investment? Okay, we're spending money. Let's see what we're doing. Okay, that's me. I don't think we need to see that. Here's what I'm going to cover today. We're going to talk about the infrastructure modernization. That's one of the necessary evils that unfortunately costs the most. Putting the big data to work, okay, getting the data out of all of our instruments and putting it in a framework that people can pull from. Another area that I call virtual operator assistance. It's running our plants with help. And then why are we doing all of this? It's for our lead centers. Okay, they're going to be the people responsible for bringing this all together and making all of our investment work. Air Liquide, we're one of the world leaders in our industry in gases, technology, and services for industry. Besides air separation units, we're big into hydrogen now, and that's growing. We're starting to do a lot of hydrogen filling stations. We have a lot of pipeline as well, so we've got a lot of direct customer hookups there. And we've got 3 major basins, I believe, throughout the world where we have quite a few customers connected to that. So we have major products coming off of that. And we're getting into the healthcare area quite a bit lately. I've seen it ramp up, see a lot of information even for things like sleep apnea and whatnot. It's kind of exciting to see that we're bringing more value to people, to our customers, and helping more. So this NEOS program, I've kind of talked about it for the last couple years. Okay, it's a Greek word meaning new. What are we expecting to get out of this? Okay, one is we want to really focus on our customer and make sure that they feel appreciated and they come to us and we're that reliable supplier, but that doesn't come for free. We've got to work hard to earn that all the time. These are some of the benchmarks that we're looking at from a sales growth perspective. We would like to see greater than 10% on our return, maintain our high quality rating. And the area that I work a lot in, group efficiencies, this is where we're seeing a lot of our benefits, and I'm working on one of the big initiatives in the NEOS program called Smart Innovative Operations, SIO for short. So what does SIO mean for Air Liquide? Really, it's our brand name for Industry 4.0. We've got to get there, okay? We're a company that's been around quite a few years. We've got a lot of aging assets, a lot of older plants, and we need to modernize. We're attacking that quite well. We want to see a step change in our operational excellence. What does that mean? We need to be more proactive, so predictive analytics plays a part in that. We're going more digital. We have a lot more digital, so we got to be secure, okay? We're connecting a lot of things. They have to be secure. What I'm seeing a big kick in is bring our experts from all over the place, because we're now able to use some of this great data that we have and present it to our experts so that they don't have to do all the mining, they don't have to do all the configuration. Boom, they can be effective and help us much quicker. And of course, it has to be sustainable. This is not just a 5-year program and we're done. This is the foundation, and we're going to grow from that. So we're looking at doing more remote monitoring of our plants. So we have to have a strong control system or the basis, foundational basis. And we're also starting to treat anytime operations has to intervene in the process, that becomes an incident, and we've got to investigate that. That's really important, because you don't improve if you don't address why you're having to deal with this. We're migrating towards partially or minimally attended plants over time, more of them, I should say. We've been doing them for years. I've had to do them. And we have to evolve. If we start to consolidate and bring operations and monitor back to central locations, it requires different people. Okay, it requires a different skill set than we used to have. More analysts, concentration, more experts. Their jobs are figure out how to make those plants run and run well. The 5 levers that we're looking at to enable this transformation, of course, is the infrastructure layer I call the plant automation. Data management, okay, that's bringing the data in, okay, but you got to bring it in safely and securely, so you got to manage it. The analytics, of course, that's doing something really cool with the data to turn it into real information that operations can deal with. Digitizing some tools or giving more digital tools to our operations folks so they don't have to sit in front of consoles. They can be more effective no matter where they're at, and not these big bulky laptops. It could be a phone, it could be whatever. We're starting to use tablets and phones. And asset management. And asset management is getting broader. You can also, data analytics and asset management kind of go hand in hand, but it's more than just our big rotating equipment. That is the most important, but we're also starting to look at the I/O level as well, because that can bring a plant to its knees if that's not working right. Operational issues. What do we got to look at? What do we got to solve? Knowledge capture. We're losing key resources, key experience. Just in the last 3 months, 100 years, just in my department alone. Huge. Okay, how are we dealing with that? Okay, virtual operator assistance. MVPC or the next generation could be a mix of AI, whatever. And procedural automation. Those are the key things that most operators have to, one's controlling your plant, the other is starting it up, shutting it down, or bringing up a unit. Okay, all help. People are going to leave, okay? And they're definitely going to do it faster than you can bring up the next generation. That's an issue that we have, but we have to solve that. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble, just like anybody else would. Cultural issues. I thought I knew something about MVPC until I started looking at the really new stuff, and then I felt like, oh my goodness, this stuff is really sophisticated, but really good. How are these people able to keep up? Are you training? What kind of programs? It's, these homegrown things, although cool, can you get it to the masses? Can you get them up? So you got to start looking at things like that. Okay, digital transformation without a plan will create silos. It's kind of like the old islands of automation. You got to understand who you're doing this for. Otherwise, your reality and your expectations are not going to converge. Okay, I've seen that in some areas where we just believed we were just going to come in and do something and didn't realize that it took a little bit more than that. Company adaptability, the mentality, are we ready to do this? Are we committed? Is it coming from the top? Are the expectations there? So no matter how much I push, if the people above me don't care or aren't pushing as hard, it's going to be a harder road to hoe. And this is really important. You got to do it today. Everybody's doing it. Technology is the necessary evil. But if you plan and look at it from the right direction, you really can make it work for you. It also takes a different shift to the type of people you need as well. And I'm definitely seeing this IIoT data. It's working. It's turning data into useful information. But you got to have a plan, and you got to be able to articulate that. If you can't articulate it, it's want, 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 want. That's corporate want to the end, and they don't want to hear that. So the first part, okay, control system modernization. This is definitely infrastructure. This is the hardest thing in the universe to cost justify. especially if you already got a system in place. Going through and looking at our landscape, we've got 7 or 8 different control systems. That's really, really difficult to support given our structure. So we have to plan according to knowing what we can support. So we're consolidating, and that costs a lot of money to do that. We want to get off of what they call the turnaround schedules or the TAR schedules. We want to save those only for changes that might shut a plant down, but control system modernization or upgrades should be able to be done on our time when we need it without disturbing the plant and without giving the plant people additional worry, because they already get it from the top. They don't need it get hit laterally from the controls guys. Supportability, of course, when you have so many, it's harder to build support groups because you're fractured. You got too many. But if you can bring a solid mass, you get better support. You get better support from your vendor because it's worth their while more. They'll give you the top people if you give them the right amount of support. Reusable standards. We're still building new plants. We're 2 to 3 a year coming into the U.S. We need good, solid standards. As we modernize our old, they need to match the new. Otherwise, we got one-offs again, and we're just creating the mess that we created before. Because we bought a lot of companies too, or a lot of plants, and they had their own systems and their own ways of doing it. And we need this platform for the center of excellence. We need to be able to build upon this and look at the future. Can we build on this cleanly? You know, no longer are they going to accept $3.5 million every 15, 20 years. That's a lot of money. It's actually going to be a lot more than that then. We ought to be able to migrate these systems cleanly, is to pick the right vendor. Those are some of the vendors we use. I'm very proud of how they have worked for us and worked with us. They're all good ones for us. Our data lake, okay, that's that term of the data management, okay. We are absolutely, in deep with the machine learning program, thanks to our Schneider folks in the Prism product. It's become a worldwide standard for us. It grew in Paris and then started growing out. The number of catches and the savings, and really, if you look at it, our program, customer-centric, that's helping our customers tremendously. Nothing's worse than if you have a major machine, a big air compressor go down, you don't have a spare one out in the barn. Okay, it takes weeks to get parts shipped in and rebuild this. If you know something's happening, you can make adjustments and help. Nothing's worse than surprises. The other is the best economic operating point. That's taking a lot of process data and understanding where and each mode that you need to operate, where do you operate best, and which modes cost you the most. You can use this to start comparing plants and figuring out where's the best, most economical plant to make this. And you can also see the cost of a bad decision if you run too long in one mode. So some of the data, just at a high level in our machine learning, or in our predictive analytics, I should say, you'd think the percent of the catches, mechanical is kind of a little over a third. Instrumentation is half of it, but we're dealing with that in other ways. And performance is about 14, 15%. But if you look at the percent of avoided cost, mechanical is the one that kills you. Those big compressors, you're not going to replace them that quick. And when you're down, and if you don't have adequate supply, and it just seems to always be timed when you took down another plant for another outage, and that one is going too. You don't even have necessarily the backup. So planning is really, or knowing that and being able to plan ahead is huge. And then some of the digitization, okay. Since we're starting to consolidate into our remote operation centers, having digital data is absolutely imperative. Round data, we use these e-log books and whatnot because they need to be in the hands of in front of the eyes of the analysts, and we need to make these shift turnovers more consistent. And I also was talking about these augmented operator device, your phones, things like that. Some of our vendors have some really great apps that tell you some of the statistics and things that are happening with your control system. It's really nice. You can get the people up. They can go around the plant. They can be at dinner. It's a phone. It's not a laptop. It's really a great time to have this stuff. Virtual operator assistance. I'm not going to, that logo is ridiculous, but I always tell them, my team chose that, they liked it, and they had a reason why they chose the sloth, none of which I agreed with, but that's okay. But it stands for, we branded it software utility for real-time efficiency. Okay, we've been doing it for 20 years. We know MVPC, okay, but we were using a very economical, I'd say almost garage shop level MVPC, which required more on the implementer in terms of their creativeness. You had the forum, but you had to do it custom. We did a big year-long evaluation of the top, what we felt were the top players in the industry, and the Yokogawa paste product, their joint venture with Shell, distilled out to the top. We really like it. We really like it. It has some features that others don't have, and Shell lends a lot of credibility to this because they've been doing it forever, as Yokogawa has been doing it as well. They supported, previous to that, Schmock. Procedural automation, or procedural operations. When we nominate power, okay, I say this, it's kind of interesting. I never thought I'd see the day at Air Liquide where shutting a plant down was made you more money than actually running it in times of peak power usage, especially in the Gulf Coast region. But it comes at a cost. If you shut that thing down, you better be able to start it back up very quickly and efficiently, or you put your customers at risk. You put the pipeline at risk. Well, as time goes on and we're losing people, that skill set, it's harder and harder to find. It's not always easy to do that, and anybody that's had to follow SOPs, you know the pitfalls. If they're exactly exact, how often you gotta mess around with them versus pretty correct, where you mess around with them less. Well, we need to capture that, and we're starting to look in this area so that we can use it for unit startups, for backups, for things that traditionally you can do in the DCS. It's not that you can't do it, but when you're talking many different DCSs, you gotta have assurance that those DCSs even have the block sets that can handle that. Well, we move it up a layer and go agnostic, and we have a common design platform. We're centered around ISA 106. I have a lot of experience in the batch area, and I know a bunch of people on ISA 106, fantastic, smart individuals that know how to pick this design. We also gave that a name, and I like that one much better. It's called PUMA, for Process Unit Module, the H is silent, approach. The lead center. This is what we're doing it all for. This is why we're doing it. They're going to look at the plants and make the best decisions for our customers. Our customers are becoming more nimble. They're requiring us to be more nimble. We have to be able to know how to keep up with our customers, assure our customers. We're like that utility. How frustrated are you when your lights go out? It should always be on. You should always have electricity. Well, okay, we lost a transformer. It's out. Well, that's the way our customers feel about our stuff. It's very important, and it's a very important raw material. It has to be there when that spigot's turned on. So, we've been spending money. We've been doing this for a couple years. What are we seeing? Okay, we've spent about $8 million so far, just in the US. Worldwide, it's much, much larger than that. But I'm talking from my perspective, from large industries, US, about 8 million. And we're getting about a year or less, depends on the program, and that's pretty good. The control system modernization, the necessary evils project is what I call it. We are able to reduce the load on the support teams because we're getting rid of systems that are harder to support, that require a lot more maintenance, that require a lot more call-outs. We're able to help here, and we're building that infrastructure so that we can, over time, we're going to definitely see the total cost of ownership is going to go down because of the synergies of having a consistent system. Our SURE program, the MVPC, this one blew my mind. When we were doing the initial projects, I was just hoping, because we did have MVPC, to be able to get at least what they did, a little bit more. I knew over time we would because the tools were much better. But without even trying super hard, we were able to double some of that. That was huge. And it's not that we did it bad before, it's just this new approach has a different way to control, and it does things a bit more stable, so you can run on the envelope. You can run on that edge much tighter. I'm starting to see, because we have some pretty experienced people, but they're not all in the same place, and it seems like everybody wants a little piece of their time. Well, the more that you can condition your data and use your analytics to present to your experts what they should be looking at, the wait in line is a whole lot shorter, and they're appreciative because they don't have to do all of that. You're using what they already know in presenting data in the right form. This one is huge. None of this is possible if that last one hasn't started. It's a behavioral change, and people are definitely jumping on board. Very important. Lessons learned. You got to do this stuff, okay? It's, again, necessary evil. You have to commit to it. It's not just, oh, well, I'll wait. Technology changes so rapidly that you don't want to get so far away that your investments are massive, and then you really need the superstars to get you going. I love the IoT. It's we've been doing that for years. We just didn't have a name for it. It's definitely breaking down the data silos, but we all know it's not free, and you got a plan. Okay? If you don't, then you're creating more modern silos. Very important. This isn't, what we're doing is not to say, okay, we don't need you anymore, go. This is, we need you to do something different. We need you to help us in a different way. We want to help you to help us, and look at your tools now. Now you have more tools. Now you can you can have a better impact on the bottom line of the company. So people are still very important. You have to have the right people. Hiring the right people and having a training and transition plan for what I call the ants in the pants generation, which is the new ones. They're going to leave. They're going to come in, do their thing, and they're gone. You have to have a training and transition plan so that they can be effective, but you don't go through these roller coasters every time they come and go, because by the time they're at that peak, they're like, I'm bored, I want to do something different. You have to be able to capture that and make it cut the peak, or cut the cut the standard deviation, if you will. Eye-opener for me. I've done a lot of greenfield. A lot of the systems I'm replacing now, I put in years ago. Brownfield's a different beast, because not only do you have to pay for the new, but you got to figure out how to do it fast, how to do it cost-effective, and you got to take stuff out. At least on greenfields, you had the basic data. It was already there. The design data, your PFD. Some of our plants, they don't even have that stuff. And so we're kind of having to reverse engineer and saying, okay, we really know how this works. That takes time. It takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of time. And the people hours to do this can get astronomical. The system costs are what they are. But the people hours to reverse engineer, to put it all together, massive. And if you didn't think about that, you cringe a lot. But we're getting through it. We've got a plan, and sometimes you got to put a blinder on, because even though it looks cool and stuff, you just can't save the whole world in one project every time. That's all I have.